Hey, Coach Ashley here at the Criticalbench compound. I have an awesome, complete beginner leg day workout for you. Now, this can be done with dumbbells or without dumbbells, but essentially what I'm doing for you is I want to establish some good foundational movement patterns with your body before we throw in some dynamic movements. All right, these movements, I'm going to have 5 different movements for you. And again, we're just trying to establish a baseline, a good foundation for us to grow off of that. All right, what does that mean? You hear squats. Well, yes, there are like hundreds of different variations of squats, but today we're going to do a very basic squat. Lunges. I can name like 5 lunges off the top of my head. But again, today we're just gonna stick with a reverse lunge. All right, it's one of the more comfortable lunges that people can perform. We're gonna go into a deadlift. It's important to learn good deadlift foundation and movement. That way you protect your back, you learn how to embrace your core, you keep the pelvic floor tight, and we make sure that we are hitting the glutes and the hamstrings in that movement. We cannot neglect the calves, guys. All right, we're gonna go into calves right after our deadlifts, and we're gonna finish off with a nice glute bridge. I would say glute bridges are more newer of a movement, but they're dominating the exercise scene. Why? Because it is a good, strong movement, because at the base of all leg movements are your glutes. Okay, so we are gonna finish off with some glute bridges today. And again, like I said, it is a good beginner workout, establishing a good foundation. If you're a little bit more advanced, check out our channel. We have a lot of advanced movements on there for you. This one's gonna be for the beginners. We might add some dumbbells today. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Now today, I'm gonna break it down for you. We're gonna complete 3 sets. Now what a set is, it's a complete 5 movements in 1 round. Now in between your movements, I'm gonna give you anywhere from 60 to 90 seconds of recovery. We're gonna complete 10 reps each. We're gonna kick it off with your squat. Now again, you can do this body weight or you can go lighter weight. So I'm gonna choose 10s, maybe you choose 5s, maybe even start with 2-pound dumbbells. That's okay. Whatever's challenging but doable to you. But the most important part today is learning and establishing the form. So on a squat, your feet are directly underneath your hips. An athletic stance is slight bend of the knees. You never wanna lock out your knees at the end of a rep or beginning of a rep. Always a slight bend. Your shoulder blades are in the back pocket. What I mean by that is I don't want you squatting like this. It's just as important how the upper body is as it is the lower. We're gonna sit heavy on those heels, try to wiggle your toes. All right, and we're gonna hinge at the hips first. We squat with the hips, we do not squat with the knees. All right, hinging the hips, we're coming down, driving through those heels. I'm gonna go sideways so you can see the hinge. Hinge the hips, core is tight, drive through the heels. That's 2. Come back down, 3, 4. Make sure that belly button is into the spine. 5, 6, 7. Watch your knees. If your knees are caving in, try to rotate them out to activate the glutes. 8. Keep those knees open. 9. Last rep. 10. Go ahead, drop your weights. If you had weights, go ahead and give yourself anywhere from 60 to 90 seconds of recovery. Some might need 60, some might need an extra 30 seconds. The choice is yours. Feel good. We're gonna move into our reverse lunge next. All right, now that we're nice and recovered from those squats, we're gonna go into a reverse lunge. Now on this one, I'm actually gonna just do it body weight. Reverse lunge is a little bit more dynamic. It does require a little bit more of your full body because we do need to focus on our balance. So rather than going a little bit more advanced of having weight, I would encourage you to start this at body weight, especially if you're just starting out, which most of us are since we're here. All right, on a reverse lunge, our shoulders in our back pocket. We're gonna take a nice step back with this leg. Notice this arm comes up, it's opposite arm, opposite leg. We're gonna come back up and we're gonna drop back. Now, instead of alternating, which again would be a little bit more advanced. We're gonna isolate and we're gonna go 10 on the right, 10 on the left. Notice my eyes always follow the ground. Your body goes where your eyes go. So if you have a hard time balancing, coming up like this might be a little bit more challenging versus finding something on the ground to focus all of your attention to. We'll call that 8, 9, and 10. I'm gonna come this way so you can see the movement of the leg on my opposite. Shake that leg out. Now I'm going my opposite leg. That wasn't just worked. Again, shoulders are in the back. My core is tight and my opposite arm is up. Having that opposite arm up is actually a cross connection of the brain. It's gonna help with that balance. So we're here. 3, 4. Remember, you should be able to wiggle your toes at the base of the movement. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Last rep. 10. Good job. Shake it out. 60 to 90 seconds recovery. And we're gonna move into our deadlift. Again, we'll probably be doing this with weights, but we can always do it body weight as well. All right, good job on those reverse lunges. Now that our body is nice and warm from our squats and our reverse lunge, we're gonna move into a deadlift. Now again, you can do this one body weight. I'll show it to you body weight, and then I'm gonna go into a little bit lighter weight just to add a little bit more resistance. So on a body weight deadlift, again, our athletic stance, feet are directly underneath the hips. We always have that slight bend of the knees. Never lock your knees out, all right? Slight hinge of the hips. My belly button is into my spine. I'm gonna put my hands behind my head, and I'm gonna hinge my hips to the wall behind me. Now what a hinge means is essentially I'm just pushing those glutes back, keeping the core nice and tight. We're gonna come around. Your range of motion might be a little bit different, and that's okay. Don't push it. I'm gonna come in a side angle for you too. Again, belly button to the spine, slight bend of the knees, and the knees do not bend any further. We're simply pushing the glutes back and we're driving them forward, making that ugly butt at the top. You know what I mean by that ugly butt. Again, adding dumbbells, shoulder blades in the back pocket, slight bend of the knees. We're coming down and drive those hips forward, squeezing the glutes. Now you don't have to over squeeze. You do not have to over arch your back. Don't do this. Just come back to that straight resting position. All right, back down. We'll call this 7. Core's tight. 8. Notice that my neck follows my spine. We like to call this a neutral spine. 9, back down. This protects your neck. Don't do a deadlift like this. You might strain your neck, right? So here, find that neutral spine and drive those hips forward. That's gonna be 10. Go ahead, give yourself a nice 60 to 90 second recovery and find a ledge for your next movement. We're gonna go into a calf raise. So a ledge could be a mat, a yoga mat folded in half. You could go find steps. Maybe you have steps in your house, steps leading up to your house, inside or outside, somewhere with a nice little lip. And we're gonna go into some calf raises. right, now that we're nice and recovered from those deadlifts, again, remember, we are doing 10 reps of each movement. We're gonna go into a calf raise. Now, if you're at the gym, go ahead, find maybe a plate. You can use a 45-pound plate. Just be careful whenever you put it on the ground. You could actually use 2 5-pound plates if you're at the gym, but maybe you're not at a gym and you just have some equipment at home, but you don't have anything. You can always fold up a yoga mat, kind of how I have right here. Now, on our calf raises, we wanna make sure the ball of our foot is elevated. All right, so we don't want to be on our toes, and you have the ball of your foot. Now go just a little bit more. Feel that nice stretch in those calves. It probably feels really good. As we do a calf raise, we're gonna roll up to the toes and right back down. All right, again, keeping your core nice and tight. Find the balance and right back down. Now maybe that's a little bit elevated, which I will be completely transparent, for me, it's a little high. All right, I'm gonna come here and again, just adjust it. If it doesn't feel right, trust your body. That's one of the most important parts about exercise, is if you're doing a movement and it doesn't feel right, stop right there, readjust, and then continue those reps. Now I'm gonna come here and show you also on the plate. Again, plate might be a little bit more challenging. This is a little bit more of an elevated surface for me. So we're coming right up and down. We'll call that 5, 6, and maybe you don't want to do with anything. 7, 8, 9. Watch those ankles. Don't roll the ankles out. Make sure the ankles stay in line with the knees. 10, straight up, straight down. 10 reps. You have the option of elevation, higher elevation, no elevation. You also have the option of adding some weighted resistance on these calf raises. Give that good, nice squeeze and then come down. Don't just, that's not really gonna do much. Might give you some sore ankles. 60 seconds to recover. I don't think you need 90. We're gonna finish off with our glute bridge. Okay, now that we're nice and recovered, our calves are feeling a little tight, a little bit spicy, we're gonna finish off with our final movement of the day, and this is gonna be the glute bridge. Now, you might have seen different variations of glute bridge. You can do it off of a bench, you can do it off of an elevated surface, but as beginners, we're gonna start with the ground, all right? Minimize our movement pattern, and then we'll maximize it as we become more advanced. Now, again, we can do it weighted, we can do it body weight. Most important part is making sure your setup is correct, making sure your heels follow the knees, your core is tight. So if you have this nice little space in your back, typically ladies will have this, we're gonna tuck the pelvis in, and we're gonna make sure that lower spine is actually on the floor completely flat. As you roll the hips in, you're gonna notice your nice lower abdominals are gonna be tight as well. Heels anchored into the ground. I'm gonna tuck my chin to my chest, and I'm gonna drive my hips forward. Tight core means tight glutes and hamstrings. Loose core means tight back. So if you're ever doing a glute bridge and your back starts to hurt, reanalyze where your tension is. You should be doing almost a mini crunch as you drive your hips up. Really squeeze those hamstrings and those glutes, tap and drive again. Tight core, tight glutes. We'll call that 3. Maybe you wanna add some weight to it. The weight goes on your hips. 4, allow it to rest. It does you no good to hold the weight up here. Add that resistance. 5, 6, keep your core tight. 7, squeeze. Give yourself a good 1 to 2 second squeeze at the top. 8, back down. 9, all right, last rep. Dig those heels in, keep the core tight in 10. Nice squeeze. Now that was your first round. Remember, we do have 2 more rounds after that. Give yourself about 90 seconds to 2 minutes in between your sets, and in between your movements, we're gonna go 60 to 90 seconds. Play around with it. Maybe you're just beginning, go body weight. Maybe you're just out of beginner phase, add some weights. And maybe you're advanced. These are all great foundational movement patterns that it doesn't matter how advanced you are. If you're Mr. Olympia or you're novice in the gym, all of these movement patterns are gonna be beneficial to you in any direction you go with your exercise and your fitness lifestyle. Great job in establishing those good foundational movement patterns. It might not have been easy, but I promise you, if you're able to repeat these movement patterns weekly, you're gonna get stronger. I give you about 4 weeks in and you start to add weight to it, or you're looking for more dynamic movements to increase your strength. Now, maybe tomorrow you're a little sore, and typically when we're sore, we wanna sit on the couch and we don't wanna do anything. But here, I'm here to tell you, as a professional, that's the worst thing you can do. So with that said, I do have metabolic stretching program for you. Now, what does that mean? I would like to call this an active recovery. A recovery would just be sitting on the couch. An active recovery will be good to flush the muscles. It's a light workout. You are going to break a little bit of a sweat with a stretching program. It's not going to be a static stretch. It's going to be fun. It's going to be enticing. There's beginner, and then as you progress throughout your movements, you can go on and progress to the advanced metabolic stretching. All right, go ahead, check out the pinned comment below. This does come in a digital file as well as a DVD. So your preference, your choice. Go ahead, give us a thumbs up, drop me a comment below, subscribe to our channel, and I'll catch you around.